Hi everyone, I hope you're staying safe and warm. I wanted to bring you out to the garden very briefly today. People are cleaning off their driveway, so it may be a little loud, and show you some issues the ice has caused in my garden and why I don't necessarily think that's going to be much of a problem come spring. So the first issue I want to discuss is the hydrangeas down here. So you can see even my limelight hydrangea on standard is looking really rough, and so we had almost 8 to 12 hours of ice that just came down in a slow drizzle, I guess you could call it, for that period before the snow even started. So the ground was completely white slowly from ice. Last night they described or declared our county a Category 2 out of 3 categories for travel, restricting travel. Just because the roads are so bad. But you can see these hydrangea blooms, they're still frozen. And so these look pretty bad. A lot of the stems will, as this melts over the coming days, raise back up. But it also gives you a good indication of the strongest stems you have on your hydrangeas for pruning in the spring. And that's why I'm not terribly concerned. Hydrangeas are really resilient. In fact, my pinky winky hydrangeas, which don't tend to have as many florets back here in the avocado bed, as I used to call it, now it's the back garden bed, it doesn't have any signs of drooping at all. It's mainly those hydrangeas that have really large blooms and panicles. And so these right here, although they're frozen, they're not drooping at all. So these next few days will be interesting, watching the snow melt and see how these plants return back to their previous form, if they will at all. And if not, it will provide me good opportunity come spring in a couple months to prune them as appropriate, so I only leave the strongest stems. And so I mentioned I'll be doing a pruning video on all of my hydrangeas, the separate categories of hydrangeas that I have in my garden this spring. A lot of hydrangeas are not necessarily required to be pruned, but it's good practice to prune a lot of them to keep their shape and retain only the strongest stems. That's really one of the sole purposes of pruning your hydrangeas, those that bloom on new growth anyway. So otherwise, this is probably the most snow we've had this year. You can hardly see my 𝗖𝗟𝗏𝗘𝗢 arborvitae over there. And a lot of the garden is just completely covered. You can't distinguish lawn from flower bed. And in fact, our road out front of the house is still completely covered, and you can't really tell where the road is. So there's not going to be any traveling for us, even though I think they're getting stuff cleaned up, but it's still going to be a couple days. We're not supposed to get above freezing for quite a while. And it's going to be several days before things are looking normal. You can see the boxwoods that I have planted along the fence line here are kind of knocked over a little bit from all the snow and ice load that they got. The green giant arborvitae are actually looking kind of magical with all the ice and snow on them. In instances like this, I try and stay out of the yard, both for protection of the lawn and also because I don't necessarily know where the boundaries of some of my flower beds are yet, particularly those that have perennials on them, and I don't want to be smashing any of those perennials down. So if you're out there in a location that got ice or snow, I hope you're having fun and at a minimum staying safe. I'll show you a few clips of what the garden looks like right now. Stay tuned, and remember, in a world full of hate, be a light. Take care everyone. Bye.